Hi YouTube and welcome back to my channel. A few months ago I had a really nice viewer when I was showing how I cook my potato soup. She asked me how I make my ham bone broth. And it's super simple. In fact, the hardest part is the time consuming process involved here. But it's really not that big of a deal. And if you can make your own stocks or broth, whatever you'd like to call it, I would very much advise doing so. I feel like they taste so much better than the stuff you can get in the can, in the jars, you know. And it's cheaper. It makes your money stretch. So I have 16 cups of just plain water. And to this, I'm going to add my ham bone. A few weeks ago, actually no, not a few weeks ago, earlier this week, we had ham for supper, and I don't know about you guys, but this summer has been so hot that I have pretty much avoided turning on the oven all summer, and it's finally cool enough here in the south where I could cook a ham without roasting us out. So that's what I did, and I've trimmed up all of the extra meat. We ate that, and now there is some meat on there, and I'm not worried about that. That's fine. We're gonna go ahead and add our ham bone. I have one, I don't call it a bunch of celery, just kind of a rough chop. I have one large white onion that I've also just roughly chopped. Whoop. And then I have, now I would normally get just the regular carrots, but I wrote a list to my husband. He was kind enough to run to the store for me, and I just wrote down carrots, and so he bought me the baby carrots. I'm not concerned about it. It's gonna give me the flavor I want. And truthfully, at the end here, I can kind of fish them out and probably eat them for supper tonight. So, I have one package of thyme, and I'm just gonna kind of rip these up some. There we go. Now, if you have fresh rosemary, I would definitely advise that, but I live way out in the country, guys, and my little grocery store, you know, you wouldn't think fresh rosemary was an exotic food to have, but a lot of times they do not have fresh herbs. So I think next summer I am going to try my hand at gardening, and at least an herb garden. I do not have a green thumb, so wish me luck. But I have a tablespoon, so I'm trying to make do with what I've got. I've got a tablespoon of dried rosemary, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 to 3 bay leaves. These kind of were wimpy, and this guy was cut in half, so I'm just using what I got. But 2 to 3 bay leaves. And that is pretty much it. Grab my spoon and kind of stir everything around. Sorry, that's my dog walking around here. She thinks I'm cooking. And of course, when I'm cooking, sometimes things are dropped, and that's when she gets floor food. Okay. At this point, I am just going to turn this on a medium to low heat, preferably lower, because it's kind of, it's got about 1.5 inches of head space, I'd say. It will cook down and get a lot less liquidy in there. Not a lot, because that's what you're looking for, but it will simmer out. You need to simmer, in my opinion. Some cooks think that you need to cook or simmer for 12 hours or more. I think you're getting the gist of it. You're getting all you can get out of it in about 6 hours. So I'm going to turn this on low heat, medium maybe to start with, to kind of get it all warm, and then just a low heat, stirring occasionally for 6 hours. So this is definitely something that you're gonna wanna do while you're sitting at home, nothing to do today, rainy day. But I will bring you back at 6 hours and show you guys how it turns out. All right, guys, I'm a little over halfway through, and you can see that my stock is really starting to, like you can tell by the color. I wish you could smell, because it smells like I don't know, Sunday at Grandma's house in my home right now. Oh, I'm gonna probably end up eating these carrots for my supper this evening because they're gonna be full of flavor. The celery I'll probably toss, yeah, those carrots I will definitely eat. You can see we started out with about 1.5 inches of head space. That's the space between what you're cooking starts and where the top of the stew pot ends. I feel like it's fine to add a little bit more water because a lot, kind of burns off in evaporation. I'm only going to add 2 more cups of water just so my ham bone is covered. You can kind of see here that the liquid in there is not reaching over the ham bone itself, and I want all of that flavor in my stock. So I'm just adding 2 more cups of water. It's not going to hurt the flavor at all. Just kind of mix that through. And then I'm going to literally just cover it at this point, I think. I mean, that's up to you. If you feel like you want to cover it, you can. This kind of isn't it's up to you. I'm going to cover mine so that way hopefully some of that evaporation doesn't take all of my liquid away. And I'm going to let it finish cooking, and I'll bring you back towards the end. Okay guys, it's been about 6 hours. I'm trying to get all of this in the shot to just show you how I transfer my broth to kind of strain out all of the goodies that are in there without trying to steam up the camera. Let me make sure this is all, okay, good. We're all in the shot. I take the biggest stock pot I own and I put my strainer or my colander right inside there. And then I take my stock pot full of all my goodies and very, very gently, oh, and I'm making a mess. I usually do this over the sink. Gotta get creative when there's YouTube involved. I just kind of slowly let it drain. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take out some of the larger bits in there. If I can find my tongs or that'll work. I would advise doing this over the sink. It's a little bit easier. I'm gonna save all of my carrots, but that's pretty much the only thing I'm gonna save from the stock, or at least the bits part of it. That ham bone is pretty much done. I've been told you can use your bone more than once, but I don't know. Usually I make chicken stock and ham stock. That's usually the 2 meats that we eat the most, and I find those bones get so brittle that I don't think it's worth it to make more than 1 batch of stock, but maybe beef bones. Alright, trying to get the rest of it. All that good stuff. Let it drain. And then what'll be in the bottom of my stock pot is all that good broth. And I am so sorry if this is kind of steaming up the camera here. I love to cook. And before I started my YouTube channel, I mean, I never really thought about doing all this stuff on camera so that way someone else could kind of glean from my experiences. Like I like to watch other people's YouTube channels and glean from theirs. Alright, that's pretty well drained. Like I said, I'll probably scoop out them carrots. They're full of flavor. It's gonna be delicious. Alright. Now what I have is my stock. And if you want to get a strainer and kind of strain out, let's see if I can get a better shot of that for you. Sorry. If you want to strain up the bits, you're more than welcome to, although I find they add flavor, and so I just kind of leave them there. Usually with a ham stock, I will make potato soup. That's our favorite, well, my favorite around here, or ham and bean soup. You could make shoot, I would even use this in a chicken noodle in a pinch. Not my go-to first choice, but in a pinch, I think it would taste just as good. But that is it. I'm gonna let this cool down to room temperature, and then I'm gonna either put it in the refrigerator, and it's good for about a week in the refrigerator. And if I don't plan on using it this week, I'm going to, once it's cool, I'll put it in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, a really good one. I wouldn't advise something cheap here. I would get the good ones because it's a pure liquid, and that would make a mess in your freezer. But I have in the past used just the really good sealed gallon-sized Ziploc bags, and I'll put make them in into batches. I think I only got one batch out of this, but that's all right. And I'll freeze it, and it's good for a couple months after that. So I hope this answers any questions as far as how I make my ham stock or ham bone broth, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's a great soup base. It's great for marinades. It's great for just cooking in general. I like to have this stuff on hand. If you like today's video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you like what I do here, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.